But what we have to work on today is more than just trying to simply get things done. So looking at yesterday's assignment, right, you obviously had an article assigned to you, correct? In that article, you have who does it say is responsible for teaching you how to use a car properly? Parents. Parents play a role in teaching you how to use things properly, correct? Now, in that fact that you should be being taught how to use a vehicle properly, who else is responsible for helping you mature into an adult? Other adults. I like that. It is other. I would agree that it's just more. It's more than parents, because sometimes, so sometimes you may not have a parental role or someone that is a parent involved with you. Maybe you only have one. Maybe you don't look at them as a parent, right? So you rely on other adults to do that for you. So Wyatt, I do like the idea that adults have the responsibility for getting you into adulthood. Okay, so, and a lot of people have said friends. If you rely on your friends to help you mature, are they going to help you control impulses? And how come, Jay or Aiden? Sorry. You are correct that you can have someone, but you can have friends that do that. But on average, even from our previous article that showed 4,000 brain scans, right? Most teenage brains, they do develop at different times, but most develop that impulse control, that right part of your brain develops much slower, right? We know that from fact. So, which I don't know. I do know that part of my job, as I've illustrated today, is to help control those impulses. Some of you are able to control those impulses or don't even have those impulses, and they're much easier to control, okay? But I think that adults are probably best suited to teach other adults. Now, or teach other people how to become adults. Are all adults prepared to teach people how to become adults? No, some never reach that level. And literally, it might be that they're the dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex isn't developed. That right side of our brain that we talked about that controls impulses. Wyatt, you had something to add? Okay, go ahead. A lot of times friends are looking to have the same type of fun that you might be wanting to have, right? So those impulses usually don't offset each other to help control. Instead, you look at each other, you giggle, and then you do whatever it is you both were thinking, right? And it does often look like I've illustrated with the, you want to, okay, and then you suddenly someone's hurt, or you're doing something kind of dumb, okay? And I shouldn't really say dumb, because it's not stupid that's driving you. It's the impulse control, right? As you look at today's articles, right? As you look at today's articles that are about voting and that are about mandatory service. Mandatory service being what? What are they talking about with mandatory service? In what? In the military, yes. Mandatory service, when they talk about that term, is always about serving in the military, okay? Voting at the age, happens at what age in our country? But we already know what. Is your brain mature enough, on average, to make a wise decision with voting? Okay, probably not. Some are. Some take politics very seriously at an early age. I was one of those people. I was a complete dork about it. I know. I'm embarrassed by it even at this day. But I'm a dork in general. But for the most part, we aren't necessarily prepared to take on the tasks that when we first take them on. So why do we have voting age set at 18? Why do we allow people to enlist in the military at 18? Why are we allowing them to make adult decisions at that age? That's just the age we have set that people are considered adults, right? That's a great question. Well, it's still illegal. Just people look the other way. It is still illegal, yes. But why is the drinking age set higher than 18? It's a great question. It's one of those things that people have argued about for a long time. And consume. That's what minor in possession is. You are incorrect. If you consume alcohol at 18, you can receive an MIP, a minor in possession of alcohol. Because you're not fully an adult. There's different levels of adulthood. I agree with you, and I'm agreeing with your conflict that you're saying, is that there is a conflict. What's up? You may. There is a conflict there. I completely agree with you. There are different levels of adulthood. Why are there different levels of adulthood? What's that? As your brain develops, maturity. Maybe, maybe not. There's some discrepancy in that information as well. But that isn't I mean, it's really the levels of adulthood they want you to reach. Can we throw everything at you at once and expect you to handle all of it at once? Yes, you have to learn how to handle it. I agree with you. Some adults aren't able to handle it either. So it takes them longer to mature and develop that impulse control. Okay. Some may never. And that's kind of what we talked about. Remember when I told you about Travis Pastrana said the right side of his brain is underdeveloped. It is still green. Like he doesn't have that impulse control that they talk about. He just doesn't have it. It's not that he doesn't want to. It's undeveloped. Now, in saying that, I know that the articles that you have read, these two articles, do not mention technology. You use technology in voting. You use technology with firearms. You use technology in these areas. But they do talk about how to learn impulse control. Your parents, when you are not able to control your impulse with technology or social media, what do they usually do? They take it away. They ground you. They associate some type of punishment with it, right? That impulse control that you learn through voting, because my son, like I take my son voting with me. I couldn't this year, but usually I take him voting with me. When we do anything that's volunteer work, or if we do anything with my brother that's military related, I bring my son with me. If we see, I want him to have exposure to it and let him consider whether or not he wants to be in the military. I don't attend church. I'm not a religious person. My son has mentioned wanting to know about God, about Jesus, about Christianity. And we have decided, I've let him pick out when he wants to go to church, and we will go. Now, that's so that he can explore those ideas and search through them. Not every parent's going to do that. I'm not saying that's the proper thing to do, but that's what we've decided that we're going to do with him. In that, I'm giving him an opportunity to learn how to deal with his own ideas with it. Your parents do the same thing. When they take things away from you and punish you, it's to teach you how to learn to use the thing properly. I know that deserves a sigh, and that's okay, Jace, because sometimes we don't like to lose. Okay. Great point. Landon just said, don't you learn by experience? Yes, taking it away because you've misused it as a way to learn so that you don't lose it again. There has to be something associated with you remembering not to do the same thing again. In some way, but you still have to pay that money back. You're only looking at one side of it and not the clear picture. You're only looking at the side you want to focus on and not the clear picture. So you have to look at the entire thing and why things are happening, why you're being taught how to use social media technology, how to vote, how to become an adult. Does that make sense? Okay, so as you get into these two articles, they're yours to read, they're yours to collect evidence on.